rocking the Close the Kitchen, our last Tuesday night together. We are closing out Close the Kitchen because we decided we were going to do it for the duration of stay at home. And we're reopening. Ain't that a kick in the head? Hey gang, so good to see you. And we're going to go back to our Sunday night ritual, which was just delightful, and I'm excited. So anyway, Emily, so good to see you. Yeah, it's pretty cool out here in the burbs. I took Louie for a walk today, a 3-mile walk. He was very well behaved, no begging. So that's exciting. Hi, Lee. So I was in the most delightful group on earth, aka the Breaking Up with Sugar Facebook group. If you're not a part of it, I don't even know what to say. Hey, Teresanne. I mean, you're really missing out is all I can say. It's just like it's just the best place on earth. And here's the deal. Somebody brought up such a good topic, which she was suggesting that I use it for these drop-in groups that we're starting, which are so exciting. And spoiler alert, you get the email on Friday about it. Oh my God, I heard it was like 90 degrees in Michigan today. Connecticut was very lovely today. But she brought up this topic that I think is so worthy of us starting to talk about because, I am a relationship girl. And I am here to talk to you about, creating like the very best relationship with food and with yourself. And as we all know, I am fiercely devoted to it. And so the topic that she brought up was, what do I do when people in my life, most specifically, people who I live with, like don't support my Breaking Up with Sugar lifestyle? And I mean, I can talk about this far longer than Closing the Kitchen, but thanks, Carrie. But I don't know if you think, like if my answer is going to be the one that you think that it is. It's a really interesting idea, and it really does have to do with our Closing the Kitchen, because we come to Close the Kitchen for nourishment and for nurturing and to get some skills or get some new ways of thinking that help us not to turn to food in harmful ways, right? That's the jam. That's kind of like the jam of like how we do this here, And, I think I was having this thought when that was posted, like, okay, like what? Yeah, like Lori's like my husband. I mean, by the way, like my family for a really long time. And, I always try to, I love this concept of like staying on our side of the street and not like going on other people's side of the street. We can get really involved in other people's stuff. Anybody relate to that? You can get really involved in other people's stuff, like make it your own. And then when they don't do things the way that you want them to, it makes you like really angry. And then like also makes you like sometimes turn to the food, or like your family like won't get on board with your new like sugar-free lifestyle, and somehow like that makes you eat sugar, or they're pushing food on you, things like that. I totally get it. So number one, like here's part of the problem. And I don't know if this is everybody's problem, but this is part of the problem for many. And I know this from my own experience, straight, right? We have years and years and years and years and years of diet drama and trauma, right? Like, and the people who love us have been on that roller coaster, at least watching that roller coaster with us, right? So I know for me, right, it took many, many years, 1, 2, 3 years for people to like really understand that this time was different. Now listen, I know, CTK, Breaking Up with Sugar Warriors, like we all know this time is different. I'm certain of it. I believe in you with all my heart and all of my soul. These like commoners like didn't get the memo, and they're just like very used to us being like on a diet, off a diet. And my stepdad, who is one of the most fabulous human beings in the entire world, still offers me things with sugar and flour. I mean, he's like Midwestern, so he's like very polite, but he'll be like, no, Dad, I don't want the fried calamari. I haven't had flour in 11 years. But he's not doing it to to try to thwart me. But he's just doing it because he's like a polite guy and he just like wants to offer me the food, right? But I remember for many years, everybody just thought like, it was just like a fad thing that was like, they didn't understand like this relationship was over. And what I found really interesting, and I just kind of, again, stayed in my own lane, like minded my own business, right? And eventually the most remarkable things happened. I remember it so well. I was at my best friend Dria's house and her husband was like, "Oh, Mal, we kept some chicken aside for you," right? And this would happen sort of, "Hey, we're having whatever at dinner. Hey, can you have that?" Right? And it was just like people started to notice. But I did it through attraction, I did it through action, I did it through behavior. And what I want to say to whoever posted that is I didn't react too much. Like when people would offer me things or people would say to me, like, "Are you going to be doing this forever? How are you going to," they would like, because here's the other thing I know for sure. Okay, we probably should talk about this at length, but here's the other thing I know for sure. Okay, when people listen, whoever's talking about, oh, Lori, when people have problems with you not eating sugar, 99% of the time, they have problems with sugar, right? I don't drink alcohol. Anytime somebody takes issue with me not drinking alcohol, they have an alcohol issue, like almost every single time across the board. And so what you end up doing in these times is that you like almost take on their issues, right? So yeah, your husband's maybe really, really having a hard time with this brave change you're making. I mean, the truth of transactions is that when one person changes the transaction changes. It can feel, now I want you to do like this new thing, because the thing that isn't going to work is if you just like get into like fisticuffs with these people. Like it's just not going to work, right? And I think the other thing is like, people feel, and people are entitled to their feelings. People are very threatened when we make changes, especially husbands. People feel very threatened when change happens. And I'm a behaviorist, and what we pay attention to matters. And I wonder, like in the beginning, can you let it slide off of you? Because it's not scary, and you're just going to be more awesome, right? You're just going to be more golden. You're just going to be more shiny. And I think, and like, we know this from some of the Facebook posts in the group, and I know this, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Sometimes we lose some friends in the shakeout. Sometimes we lose some people in the shakeout of getting healthy, right? People who in the transaction were not invested. Hi, Brittany. We're not invested in our getting well. They were invested in us staying sick. I remember wholeheartedly. I mean, I lost 3 very good friends when I broke up with Sugar. 2 of them were like big, we were big like eating buddies, and it turns out like we didn't have much to talk about after I decided that I was gonna live, and I was gonna live a big, beautiful life. And like we would go out and they would constantly push food on me, and I mattered more, and my recovery mattered more than that relationship. And that's what we have to get to. We have to get to this place of self-love where making these hard choices, they're hard, it feels terrible, right? Because we're so into these controlling relationships and we're so worried what people think about us. But at the end of the day, like if you can't make these choices to get out of toxic relationships, that's the only problem, right? Because that's self-harm. To be in, and by the way, like with husbands, it's different, I guess with sisters, it might be different, things like that. But so in those situations, I think, let it slide off. Try to sort of have some compassion for that. People have a hard time when we change, right? But this other thing that the first point, which I want to make into the 4th point, which is like, people are very used to us being on and off of diets, and they need a minute to adjust. And I know for certain that, there's a few of us who have been like off for 1.5, 5 years off of sugar. But most of us have only been doing this since the book was born, and the book was born in January, right? So can you give people a minute? MYOB. Mind your own business. And I mean that in the gentlest, kindest, most self-loving way humanly possible. Because when you can mind your own business, when you can keep it on the eye, when you can stay true to yourself, then it doesn't really matter that someone isn't supporting you. And they come around. I mean, I can tell you so many people in my life, when they saw the results of what happened with my breakup with sugar, when they saw that I was more attentive, that I was more reliable, that I was more available, right? That they were down. They were like, oh, Ma, don't eat that. That has sugar in it. Oh, wait, Ma, I don't know. I put it on my Insta stories, back in the beginning of I was with my friends, Drea and Ty, actually, and they had made wings, and there was all these wings, and then there were Molly's wings that just had no sugar and flour on it. And this self-love is an action, and it's pretty contagious. It really shows who's good, who's in to stay and who's not, but it's also it's an attraction. People get your vibe, and that is self-love. Yeah, people who are meant to stay the course are meant to stay the course. I don't know if everybody remembers when Brad Reedy, one of my favorite therapists, when we did that podcast, and somebody said, well, how do you know if, how do you know if they're your tribe? And Brad said, if they don't stick around, they're not your tribe, And so that's a good piece of information too. As you grow, sometimes you got to shake off some people that don't fit the mold anymore, Oh my gosh, Kelly's saying that her eye disease has been stabilized because of her breakup with sugar. Girl, I believe it. Believe it. Oh my goodness, so many amazing. I've seen people with MS get better. It's so amazing. Sugar is so toxic in physically, emotionally, spiritually. I'm so excited that there are so many. Yeah. So Amy's saying this beautiful thing, which is, stop telling everyone and show everyone. They've heard it all before. And again, action really, it's the thing that convinces people in my experience. I think the other thing is I just know from my people in my tribe, they were just trying to be nice by offering me food. They didn't know if I was on a thing or off a thing. And then eventually not a person would even, and by the way, usually if they are, can you just consider that they might not be sabotaging you and they're trying to be nice? I mean, my family's always offering me things and I'm always no thanks, not my food, and I'm not how dare you offer that to me? Give people the benefit of the doubt sometimes. Certainly in our current human rights conflict in this world, the least we can do is just, be gentle and be kind. It's a good practice, my loves. So anyway, I love you guys so much. I'm a little bit sad that this is our final Tuesday night together, but we have Wednesday and Friday, and big launch of drop-in groups emails coming to you on Friday. And if you're not on our email list, I don't know why you're not on our email list, and you should immediately go to mollycarmel.com and get on it. We just basically give free stuff and awesome stuff away. And let us close the kitchen, put our hands on our hearts for ourselves, for our Close the Kitchen community, for those suffering with their food and weight issues who we don't know, and for everybody in the world who is suffering right now. Who is going to close the kitchen? Let's see it, my loves. Louie's going to bed, if you're wondering. Yes, Bernadette's closed the kitchen. Amazing. Yay, Rose closed the kitchen. Fabulous. Rachel, Amy. Woohoo! Susie, Cheryl, awesome, awesome. Jojo, Lisa, Gail, Sherry, incredible. Crystal, Teresa Ann, awesome, awesome. Andy, Kelly, Diane, Hillary, amazing. Welcome, Hillary. Sue, Randy, amazing. Awesome, guys, awesome. Renee, fabulous. Kelly, awesome. So exciting. You guys are doing great. Heather, close the kitchen. You are not hungry. You are feeling uncomfortable feelings. You got it, my friend. Lee is closing it after dinner. And we will do this all again tomorrow night. Look forward to seeing you. Instagram, I'm going to post this on Insta stories so that you guys can watch it again, but that'll be one of the last times we do it. Sending you so much love, you guys. Oh, Emily, yay, close at 6:30. Talk to you soon.